Chapter 4. When the morning sun arose, Nate, of course, was the first awake. He lied in bed for a bit, holding Scarlet. Gently he brushed strands of her hair out of her face and was glad it didn't stir her. After a while, he stood up and opened the curtains a bit to let the fresh light in. Nate made something quick to eat and waited patiently for his friend to wake up. It was approaching noon, so he decided to awaken her. He crawled back in bed and lightly rubbed her shoulder. Slowly she groaned and opened her eyes. "Can you please close the curtain?" she begged. "The light is bothering me." He stood up and pulled them closed. Scarlet closed her eyes and wrapped her arms over her eyes to block out even more light. "How are you feeling, Aalliyah?" "Aalliyah? You know you can still call me Scarlet." "Really? Because last night you insisted I call you Aalliyah." "Did I? Do you not remember?" "I don't recall much at all. I recall riding to the dance by carriage and dancing for a while. I know we stopped and I drank a few drinks, but I don't remember getting up from the table. What happened after that?" Casually, Nate informed, "We danced a bit more." "I didn't do anything outrageous, did I? I know sometimes when I drink too much, I lose complete control and barely unaware of my actions." Nate chuckled. "You were a little out of control, wired with energy. I didn't leave your side because you had me so worried about you. Other than laughing uncontrollably, really you didn't do anything out of the ordinary." "Well, that's a relief." Nate nodded, choosing not to mention how many times she had kissed him last night, assuming it was only because she was drunk. Plus, he didn't want to create an awkwardness between them. "You should get up so we can spend some time with your parents today." "I know, but I feel awful." "Headache?" She nodded. Nate walked across the room and called Jeramie. His best friend answered, "Hey, how is it going?" "Wonderful, we're truly enjoying ourselves, but I need your help." "Sure, what is it?" "Do you know what I could make like a tea for Scarlet? She drank a bit too much last night and is feeling very under the weather." "Peppermint tea will work wonders and have her back on her feet in no time. And as you know, plenty of water will also help her." "Thank you. Well, I'll talk to you later." Nate clicked the phone off to get to work. Fortunately, Jeramie had given Nate a bag of emergency herbs, including peppermint tea. He quickly brewed it and handed a warm cup to Scarlet. An hour later, she finally managed to get into fresh clothing and was set to go visit her parents. It didn't take them long until they got to her parents' house. "Good morning, sunshine," chimed Lisa in a playful manner. "That was quite the night you had last night." Nate hurried to pull Lisa to the side and whispered, "She doesn't remember much last night. She especially doesn't remember kissing me, so please don't mention she did." "I wasn't planning on bringing it up, but you know, they say when one is drunk, it is their unfiltered self, their truest form because they don't hold back. She cares for you, Nate." He smiled but said no more. They quickly ate lunch and then set out on foot. Lisa had packed a backpack but didn't explain where she was leading them. James had a half day of work and was able to join them to enjoy the afternoon. He also had a backpack with, but gave no hints as to where they would be going. He and Lisa led the way in the front of the two guests and held hands. They talked as they went, getting to know Nate and Scarlet better. Scarlet happily told them what it was like having her own library and the best part of running it every day. It made perfect sense, though, why once Scarlet was out of the atmosphere of the quiet library, she was completely wild and energetic. She needed a place to burn off her energy. Plus, she likely was that free-spirited, but kept that part of her personality in check at the library. After last night, though, Nate could really see how fun and on her toes she is. James and Lisa turned up a path beginning a climb up the Irish hills. They weaved around the bends, going higher and higher. The crisp sun beat down upon them and almost made them want to take their jackets off, though the temperature wasn't that warm. Finally they stopped and instructed Scarlet and Nate to turn around. Below them were the hills cascading back down to town. The city was small and seemed like a model. The bay glowed with the sun gleaming off of it. Boats were sailing about, but looked like little toys. The sun was lowering and the streaked sky in the water in orange and pink. "Aalliyah, what do you think?" sought Lisa. "It's marvelous," she answered. James mentioned, "We can stay and cherish the view for, I'd say, about 20 minutes at most, and then we need to head down, or else we'll be walking in the dark." The four of them sat down to rest and admire the landscape. Shortly they began the descent. Along the dirt path, Scarlet slipped. Nate was swift to catch her hand, and luckily she didn't fall. She shared a grateful smile and then continued on with their hands linked. The last day, Nate and Scarlet were in Galway. Lisa informed them she and James had something spectacular planned. All day they did little things like visiting the local coffee shop and playing games. Lisa declared it was time to go to the main event of the day, and they all climbed into her car. She drove off once again, not telling her passengers where they were headed. Of course, James knew the destination she was taking them to. It was just under an hour of driving when Lisa pulled the car to the side of the road. She stepped out and gestured to the group to follow her up the hills. The light was fading rapidly, and Scarlett wondered why they waited until this point in the day to take them out there. They walked on, and twilight fell. Suddenly Lisa stopped walking. "We're here," she reported. Scarlett gazed around. Fields and hills surrounded them on all sides. It seemed to be a place in the middle of nowhere. "Where?" asked Scarlett, puzzled. Lisa looked at her with soft eyes and informed, "The place you were born." "Oh, wow," breathed out Scarlett, almost trembling. She gazed around again and let her eyes linger on the clear night sky. The world almost appeared to be spinning faster than natural, and Scarlett almost stumbled backwards. "Careful," gently spoke Nate. "Perhaps we should sit down so you could stargaze easier." She nodded and the two sat down. After a few minutes, Nate lied down so it'd be less of a strain on his neck, and Scarlett copied him, but reclined her head between his shoulder and his chest. Nate had his arm on the grass and wrapped it around Scarlett, resting it just below her chest. James and Lisa sat off to the side, gazing at the two instead of the stars. "Aalliyah and Nate belong together," James declared quietly. Lisa replied, "I know, and they know it too. This week I can tell what brought them closer together. They still need to decide to come together in their own time, though." The night of the Kaylee, Aalliyah didn't hold herself back from expressing her feelings towards him. "I wish she could be that open now." "She'll get there. She doesn't remember kissing him that evening, but soon enough the two will be honest with each other and how they feel. You know it took us a while to admit it." He grinned and kissed his wife's cheek. The entire plane ride back, Scarlett sat there silently. Nate knew a lot had happened in the last week, and she needed time to process the truth she had learned, but it still concerned him how silent she was. Back at the airport, he retrieved his car and offered to take her home, but she shook her head. He pulled into his driveway and welcomed her to stay, and he'd get dinner ready. Jeramie beamed as they came in the door. "Welcome back," he chimed. "How did it go?" His smile fell when Scarlett didn't give any indication of an answer. Nate quickly threw in a distraction. "I'm going to make dinner. Would you like to help, Jeramie?" He nodded. "Scarlett, you're welcome to help too if you want. If not, make yourself at home." She nodded and walked onto the patio and leaned against its rails. Jeramie glanced at her and softly questioned, "Is she all right?" "I'm honestly not sure." "Did it not go well?" "I thought it did. She was welcoming being with her parents. She was laughing and having fun. However, the second we got on the plane, she fell silent and hasn't said a word since. My guess is she wasn't ready to return and is missing it." "Maybe. It could be something else, though. I'm going to try talking to her. Good luck." Jeramie came out next to her and gazed out upon the backyard. "I love the English countryside landscape. Wouldn't you agree, Scarlett?" She snapped, "Stop calling me that!" Then she sighed heavily. "I'm sorry. Did your parents have another name they called you?" "Yes, Aalliyah. That's a beautiful name." "It is, but now I feel more lost than I did before going. I don't know who I am anymore. Before, at least, I knew my name, but now I don't even know that. I can't decide if I should embrace the name I was born as or the name my adoptive parents gave me. I love them both, and I can't sacrifice either." "Well, you are both. Both are your family. What about Scarliyah?" Jeramie watched her and could tell she was considering it. "It's a nice idea, but I was thinking of trying to be Aalliyah for a while. Scarlett always seemed like she was the quiet part of me and a lonely girl only wanting to know her past. Aalliyah, on the other hand, has her history, and it can empower her to find her own tale." "All right, then. Aalliyah I shall call you." Nate came over chuckling. "So, what? Now the two names represent an entire personality of you?" Jeramie defended. "She's a librarian. Her way of dealing with this challenge is to turn it into a novel." "I was only teasing her." Without thinking, he kissed her cheek. Nate was shocked she didn't react other than blushing, but Jeramie stood there stunned. "Dang, you two go off for a week, and I miss everything." "No, I just wasn't thinking. It's true we got closer over the last 7 days, but it was nothing official. I mean, her mother thought I was her husband when we walked in the door because I was holding her hand, but I only did so she would know I was with her every step of the journey." In the hotel, we'd always start on the far side of the bed, but each morning she'd be wrapped in my arms. I swear I wasn't doing it intentionally. Don't get me wrong, it was amazing being so close to her, but I wouldn't want to take it too fast if the stars want us to be more than friends. Look, I only met her 2 months ago. Yes, and in 2 months, you have gotten really close. Anyone can see that. Nate faced Aalliyah and declared, "You are beautiful, and anyone would be lucky to even call you their friend. I will admit I have come to care for you, but I don't want to rush things. I've seen people rush and it fall apart. I'd rather go slow and build something that will last." Aalliyah responded, "I agree. I welcome your company. A strong relationship usually starts with both people knowing the other pretty well. I'd say you know me quite well, given you know literally how I came to be on this earth, and other than that, I'm just a quiet librarian. I know you well, I'd say, because you're all about stars. I may not know your story or fully how you got to where you are. Maybe you were right when I came here to tell you about the late book. Maybe the star of love wants us to be together. I'm willing to try because it showed how much you cared when you dropped everything to take me to Ireland to meet my birth family." "All right, then let me ask you properly. Aalliyah, will you be my girlfriend?" "Yes, I will."